What's up, peeps? It's the kid L.R.Player here back with another podcast episode from the Jump Rope community where I bring you athletes, friends, your friends, your family from the community where we discuss topics and et cetera, et cetera. Today's guest hails from Cali. He heavily into sports and furthermore to me, he's heavily into fatherhood. Um, so, without further ado, let me introduce you to Brian, aka Jump Rope Dad. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on. I love what you guys or what you're doing, giving jumpers, a platform to kind of express themselves a little bit beyond just their videos.
Right. Yeah, it does give us an opportunity to like show a little bit more of us because you can only fit so much into like in between 15 seconds and a minute and 30 is like, you know, besides
Right.
jump rope. So tell us about your jump rope origins.
So, like many of us from the community, I started during the pandemic. Um, I was going through kind of a bit of a personal time. I was having a separation from my wife. And I think that the beginnings of it were just about finding something to um, distract my mind and give me purpose.
Right.
Um, and obviously, the world was shut down. So there weren't really too many um, you know, public outlets, that we could utilize at that point. So, really, I had to find something that I could do on my own time um, anywhere at home in a garage. Um, and so I've always been really into boxing and sports and um, things like that. So I had tried to jump rope before, but there were certain skills that I felt like were just like beyond me. Like I didn't think I'd ever be able to do a crossover. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do a double under. These are things that I thought were just like, you had to be Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. You had to be top level boxer to
Right.
be able to hit skills like that. Um, and I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast actually, and I forgot who he was on with, but he was talking about how specifically he was like, there isn't much better of a workout that you can get in a 5 to 10 minute period than jumping a rope. Um, and like I said, I was going through it, so I needed something. And leading up to this, I had put on a lot of weight. I wasn't really engaged in the best habits. I think I was kind of feeling sorry for myself a little bit.
Right.
Um, and I just one day on a whim, I was laying on my buddy's couch in North Carolina, actually. I took a little trip back there just to kind of clear my head and get some rest from everything that was happening. Um, and I was on YouTube and I was watching Floyd Mayweather. There's like a famous one of him going around and he's kind of like skipping back and forth and doing crossovers and just like the speed and the fluidity um, was just something I was really enamored with. So I go on YouTube, I type in how to jump rope, and what pops up is, what pops up for most people. It's Rush Athletics,
All right.
Rushy, it's the jump rope dudes. And so I just went down the rabbit hole of pretty much learning just the basics. And I was at it every single day, just trying to learn the boxer skip just to start off with. And it took me several weeks. I did what everybody does. I did everything wrong. I bought the wire rope, from Big Five or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I bought. I had it the wrong length. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Right.
was all bad. It was all bad. So it was taking me probably a lot longer. But the cool part was, and this is something that I didn't anticipate. There wasn't really the community like there is now. There were just there was like a small group of like 20 or so people that I was directly in contact with. From Lauren to Stephanie.
Right.
Um, we've talked about some of the names, Jimmy. yourself. I remember we linked up back then, and everyone was sharing videos and inspiration, and look at the new trick I hit, and
Right.
I think that was just like the perfect. My grandmother always told me when I was younger that busy hands are happy hands, and idle hands are the devil's playground.
Right.
So I think just diving into jump rope, and then engaging with the community is something that really, helped me turn some corners. So that's pretty much the beginning.
That's what's up. How like as myself, I kind of like use jump rope and like other form of fitness, like going to the gym or whatever. Like I use that as a distraction. You know what I'm saying? Just clear my mind, just turn my mind off, and just like lock into whatever I'm doing. Cause if I'm not focused, then whatever I'm doing gonna let me know I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, even getting whipped or dropping a weight or just just any little thing. So that's where I can relate to you as far like because I didn't have like a fitness goal. You know what I'm saying? It
Hmm.
was just going to be distracted, just turn my mind off to de-stress or just whatever it is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it definitely does do that because, like you said, it's an activity that you have to engage fully with. You have to be present. You have to be focused. I'm big on trying to get into flow states. So I mean, you've probably seen like some of my basketball stuff. I'm a shooter. Like accuracy. I think all of those things only happen um, if you're fully engaged and can get into flow.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're the most accurate. That's when you're the most precise. It's sort of out of body. You separate from yourself and kind of just fully lock in. And jump rope was something that gave me that. Like getting lost in the music, getting lost in the focus of the movements, and just flowing through it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's something it's meditative. It's distracting for your mind. And it also, I like that the old saying. It's like chop wood, carry water.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to that. It's like you're doing something productive. Um, and I think that if I'm idle, that's usually when I feel the worst. If I'm sedentary, that's when I feel the worst. Yeah,
Do you have to force yourself a rest day?
I do. I've
And when you
actually had to get.
and
Yeah, go
so when
ahead.
you do that, like, do you feel idle? Do you have that feeling like, man, I know my brain is telling me I need to go do something, but I
Yeah,
also, yeah,
I
I,
think I'm geared towards anxiety a little bit. I think that's like my natural disposition. I overthink things,
mm-hmm,
and so I think that the exercise and the engagement of it all, it kind of quells some of that angst. And if I don't, yeah, I can feel like it's just not as good. I feel like I haven't done anything. I feel like I haven't
right,
accomplished anything.
like I wasted the day. Like I could
Yeah,
have did something, but I did, and then now I feel like I totally wasted any.
right.
Like I could have did 5 minutes. So yeah, so I go through that a lot too. I don't know about the
Exactly.
anxiety part, but I do feel like when I'm idle, then I'm just wasting the day.
Right.
I had to have people tell me like, dude, you're not wasting the day. You recharging your body and recharging your
Yes.
mind when you do that. So I had to
So I've
think,
had I've had to get more disciplined with that. The
yeah,
recovery side of things. I mean, I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger. So I've lots of years running on hardwood. I've run marathons on concrete. I've
yeah.
jumped rope for the last 3 years. So I'd be lying if I said that getting out of bed in the morning sometimes didn't hurt.
Oh man,
It's sometimes pretty painful, like those first couple steps. The feet, the knees, all of it's. Um, so so yeah, the days that I don't take rest, that's when I feel it the worst.
yeah. I can relate to you on that one. I can relate to you on that one. So you say you did boxing. Uh, how did you get into that? How long was you doing that?
That's just kind of been like a side hobby. I mean, I've trained a little bit with some buddies of mine. That's not something that I'm terribly into. I was more into um, from a fan's perspective. I watched a lot of boxing. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I was standing in front of Wild Card Gym in LA. back in like 2008 when Manny Pacquiao was on his run, and standing out there trying to meet him, get in the gym and all that. Um, so I think from a distance, and actually my ex-wife, she could jump rope like a champ back in the day. She was a track athlete in college. So, she was able to do all the footwork stuff, and I would watch her and I'd be like, "How the heck are you doing that? It looks like your feet aren't even leaving the ground, but somehow the rope is fitting under there."
Right.
And she would try to explain it to me, and I would pick the rope up and I would try it, and I'd get frustrated, and I was like, "This ain't for me." And this was, shoot, probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So little did I know, I was going to end up on social media jumping for everybody that saw it. Um, so yeah, no. So boxing was something I've been into from a fan's perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
so we watched the all access behind the scenes stuff from Showtime or whatever, whoever was putting on the fights, and so I'd see all these guys jumping rope, and I'm like, and I just have always been enamored by it, really.
Right.
I just didn't think. I think that growing up where I grew up, there were always things, whether it were professional athletes or there were always things that or actors that felt like so far beyond me. Like they're just not necessarily they exist in a different world, far away or something. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like how I felt about the jump rope skills. I felt like that was just something that wasn't ever going to be mine. Um, Back then, obviously little did I know. But there's a lot of lessons that you learn from that, though. It's a process of engaging with something and being consistent with it, and really getting up and you know filming it was a huge part,
Right.
because you film it, and I take this philosophy into sports as well. You film it, you watch it back later, you find the areas where you're weak, you find the areas where you're strong, you double down on those, you try to fix the ones where you're weak, and you just continue that process, on an ongoing basis, and that's how you get better at everything. So jump rope is something that really reminded me of that over time.
And you said you also mentioned that you ran marathons.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I ain't gonna
I'm
say
a bit of an extremist. I
as
like
far
in
as like
terms of
like
God.
dabbing into mixed different type of fitness. That what you mean?
Yeah, so like I'll get into something and I don't, it's like if it draws my interest, I don't just do it surface level. I try to really like get the maximum experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I need to win the race or anything like that, or be the
Right.
best jump roper in the world. Um, but I want to really engage with it. And I think a lot of it is like I've done a lot of different things that are like self-taught, I guess.
Right.
Um, and if it catches, there's a lot of, there's so many distractions, there's so many things in the world that we could do. Not everything speaks to you.
Right.
Um, some people are into XYZ, whatever, and maybe that's never going to be for me. But when I find the thing that is, like I'll go pretty deep into it. So when I ran the marathon, I was probably about 50 pounds overweight. Again, I was going through some stuff in life uh, shortly after college. Had some bad habits, and I decided, like, look, like we're going to turn this corner here. We're going to do something. And like I said, I don't just half do it. I had never run more than 3 miles in my life. Back in basketball practice, I remember the most dreaded day of my life was when we had to run 3 mile track runs at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh shit.
So, yeah, so the idea that I didn't even know I could run more than 3 miles.
Right.
So my uncle, he's a Navy EOD officer. He gave me this book. He got really into hiking for a period, and it was a book where a blind man used nothing but a seeing eye dog to walk from like the tip of Florida all the way to Maine, and he successfully did it. I was flying back on a plane from Maryland after he gave me this book. I was reading it, and I was like, dude, you are 50 pounds overweight. There's a blind man walking from Florida to Maine. You got to get up and do something. Like that was kind of the impetus for the marathon. And so 5 months I trained. I didn't know what I was doing at all. Um, the internet isn't quite like it. Uh, the internet wasn't like it is quite now. So like there weren't people that were making content to tell you exactly how to train for a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So I just ran. I put up crazy miles. I lost all the weight. I think I went down 60 pounds. I was like, I don't know,
Wow.
240 or so, and I went down to like 180. I think I actually dropped down to like 175.
Wow.
Um, and and yeah, I ran the thing. It was rough though, because like I said, I didn't train properly. I just put too many miles on, and so by like mile 18, my whole body felt like it was broken. I felt like
Wow.
my legs were gonna separate like the muscles from the bones. It was rough. But I finished it, and there was a big lesson point in that too. I remember around mile 18, there was a sign that somebody was holding, and it said um, something along the lines of, "The pain that you're feeling right now is temporary. The pride you'll feel if you finish is forever. So keep going."
I think I don't know if I seen somebody post something or read something, but I seen that exact quote somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a reel. I don't know, probably like a year and a half ago, where I told that story a little bit. So maybe it was there.
Oh, probably so. But I do remember hearing or seeing something like that.
Yeah,
So are
it's a
you
good
the
quote.
type of person that like to dab in, well, obviously you are the type of person that dab into many different type of fitness
Hmm.
categories. Like does that, when switching up like that, does that keep you like intact? Like you don't hit a plateau or something? It keep you from hitting a plateau?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Like I like to go hike. I like to play basketball. I like to get out on the field and do baseball drills with my kids. I like to, like the other day, I'm at practice coaching, and we were teaching the 8-year-olds just moved up to 9-year-old baseball, so the bases expand.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have stealing. Now we have pickoffs and leads and all these uh, new things to teach. So we do this stealing drill. So I get down there as the catcher and try to throw kids out at second. So all of these things are like you say, dabbling, and it keeps it fresh. It keeps the idea of staying active and staying mobile. It keeps it novel. When things can get stale when you do them for a really really long period of time. So I think the novelty kind of keeps me engaged, and I think the main thing that I like I like seeing if I can get good at something. Like and like I said, it's not in comparison to anyone else. It's not
Right.
am I going to be the greatest at this thing, but I just want to see, like, can I do that? I think I can. And then how do I get there? What are the steps?
You um I never, I mean, I thought of it, but I never put it into words. But I do be having that feeling just to see, like, I wonder if I can do this, or wonder if I can get like somewhat decent with it. Then, if I do get decent, then I'll be like, okay, maybe I can go to another level with it. So,
Right.
so I'm kind of the same way as at my age now to see if my body allow me to do whatever it is that I'm intrigued of doing.
I saw
So,
you out there dunking the other day.
yeah, I still try to get it. I still
You're
try to
getting
get
up.
it.
How tall are you anyway?
6'3".
6'3". Okay, yeah, you're
Yeah,
a bit taller than me, a little bit. I'm about
yeah.
6'1", pushing 6'2". I always say 6'1 and 3/4. No one cares about the three
Well, it
quarters.
depends on how I get out of bed. If I get out of bed slouchy, then I lose an inch or so.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, but
um, man, I probably, if I do play, when I play basketball, if I probably have like one dunk in me. But
hmm
then again, you probably have to check back with me in like 2 weeks or so, because I
yeah,
don't have like the stamina to keep jumping up like that like I used to.
right. I live
Yeah.
right next to a college. So the gym I go to, there's always a bunch of college kids in there, like and guys from the team, and so I'll hop into runs sometimes, and I always tell my kids, I'm like, you might get one good out of me, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, like an old Toby Keith song.
Yeah.
So I'll hop out there and I tell him, I'm like, dude, I'll give him some work a little bit, but it's going to be about 2 weeks. I'm on the shelf. I'm
Right.
not jumping rope. I'm not hiking. I got to rest and ice my feet. My buddy opened a gym down the street, and he's got this recovery room. So they've got the Normantic boots in there, and they've got the infrared saunas. So
Right.
that's where you're gonna find me posted up if I play a couple
Uh,
games.
So you tried the boots?
Yeah,
How is that?
they're good, man. It's like it's a, kind of an intense compression,
Right.
so they blow up really tight and they kind of promote circulation and healing to your legs. But I'll go a hard jump session, lift legs, and then sit in those things, and
Mm-hmm.
legit, it'll pull all the soreness out. Like not all of it, but pretty much. You can tangibly feel that you're recovering.
I
So
might
yeah,
have,
those things are cool.
yeah, I might have to invest in one of those because my legs be shot.
Yeah, and I recommend them for sure.
So when are we gonna start a basketball league in the jump rope community? Because there's still
Right,
there's a lot of
right.
us that still hooping.
Yeah. So
Me, you,
Jimmy,
Life,
yeah,
Jimmy.
right.
Um, I know Leo and Leo skipping. Um, True skips. Yeah, it's a lot of us out there still balling.
Yeah, I can think of. I was trying to think of one other. I don't know. Oh yeah, True Skips. That is the one I was thinking about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked in the DMs a few times about ball. Yeah, Jimmy. I would have some fun with this thing. I would have some guys to throw some lobs to. So that would be fun.
Hey, you only got one with me. I probably can get one or two, but
I'll
that's
use
about
that
it.
one. I'll use that one. Yeah, no, no, for sure. Me and Life have talked about that a few times. Me and Jimmy have talked about that. Like we would have a nice little squad.
That's what's up. So, two young boys, you're coaching. Um, they even jump rope. You know what? It's funny because they did. I remember seeing one of your boys doing one of the dance on the video. I can't remember
Oh
what the.
yeah,
And
the
then I was
gritty.
like, the
Or
gritty,
wait, no, it
yes.
was
No,
no. Shoot, what was that thing? The one where they drop down to see they know all that stuff from Fortnite.
yeah.
Uh, I one of my things is I try to understand the world that they're living in so that I can help them navigate it. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
different than the one that we grew up in.
Right.
So I'll watch all these emotes and whatever the heck you call them on Fortnite, and those boys, it's their other than baseball and basketball, that's their life. They love doing emote dances. But yeah, he did it with the jump rope one day, and I just started cracking up.
Yeah, that I remember he inspired me. So I did it that one video and I saw I dropped down one time, I almost didn't get back up.
Right?
Right. I was
No,
like,
our knees are
no,
not. No.
no more hydraulics in the knees.
Yeah, right. Those pushing 40 knees aren't they don't bend the same, So I didn't even try it. You're brave for trying it. When I saw him do that, I was like, nope, that's a meniscus. I'm good.
Yeah. I think I was pretty dumb for trying that because man, I think I was hurting for the next 3 days trying to get the soreness out.
Yeah, I feel you.
But
That's funny.
yeah, two young boys, you a coach. How important to you as a father, bringing up two young boys, implementing sports in their lives, just trying to show them how sports and life, how they integrate. Like tell me about that. Like, how is you teaching them to be the man you want them to grow up to be?
Yeah. So I think, without getting too corny with it or sappy, of the titles that I've had in my life or that I have, dad is obviously at the top, and like
Right.
this necklace right here, I've been wearing it since the pandemic, and it's a little quarter and it says dad, and
Mm-hmm.
then each one is a puzzle piece and it has their initials in it, and they wear those,
Oh, okay.
because I feel. And I mean, I think a lot of parents probably feel like, they're like a little piece of you. They're a little piece of your legacy, and that your life and the lessons that you learned and the ups and the downs and the trials and tribulations, those all prepared you so that you can sort of help them kind of be their roadmap. You know what I mean? And I think, my experience in sports as a kid, I come from a family, they separated when I was 4. I adore my parents. They're great parents. They loved us. They did the absolute best they could for us. But with that separation, my mom moved about an hour and a half away or so, from my dad. And while my dad, he taught my brothers and I how to throw, and he taught us how to catch and run routes and do different things, and to hit a baseball, throw a baseball, all that good stuff. We only saw him every other weekend, so it wasn't a lot. And my mom, being a single mom, trying to, um, raise the boys. I have 3 brothers, and then hold down the house. She didn't have the time. It's when you got 3 boys and you're working,
Yeah.
you don't, and we lived in the country too. So there was no getting to anywhere quick. You're on these country back roads, and it's like to get to practice is about 25 minutes, to get home from work is about 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
finding the time and the ability to get us to those events and those sports was tough, and that's definitely something that I, for example, football practice when I'm like, I don't know, 6th grade, 7th grade. I was
Hmm.
always the kid after practice sitting there, and coach is like, "Where's your ride?"
Right.
And there's no cell phones. So eventually he reluctantly, he never made me feel bad about it, but I did, just intrinsically, so he would drive me home, kind of thing. And like I said, 30 minutes on those windy back roads, and you could just see him getting more frustrated the farther we go. Um,
Right. Right.
so that was something that, it just, it was, I knew that, like, my brothers and I had certain skills and abilities and things that I could just tell, like when I'd play with other kids at school. And so I really wanted to be involved, but just couldn't, on the same level as them. And, um, fast forward, trying to get on a junior college basketball team, going through a redshirt season and trying to make up all that ground,
Right.
um, was extremely tough. I sat with one of my coaches, an amazing coach, the brother of Rick Adelman, Hall of Fame NBA guy. Um, we sat and had a conversation. He was like, "So just imagine, when you're a little kid, and he was like, and you're going every weekend, to these games, and you're going all throughout the weeks to all these practices." He's like, imagine that over 10-year span, how many experiences you have that just allow you to, uh, not overthink things when you're in the moment, and just be present and allow your talents and your abilities and your skills to express within the game. Whereas he was like, while you have a lot of the skills, good enough skills to do this, good enough shot, good enough ability to pass and handle the ball and play defense. He's like, but your mind is racing at such a fast speed because there's a term, stress inoculation, I use all the time with the kids. And it's the only way to inoculate yourself from the stress is to engage with the stressor. You have to lean in, you have to steer directly at it. You can't go away from it. If you go
Right.
away from it, you're never going to overcome it. And so I think that missing all of that time was tough. And what it taught me, and I think, the way that I approached being a dad in sports, ever since my kids were little, is that I'm going to be there. I'm
Right.
going to be a part of this, and I am going to, hopefully, if I'm successful, I'm going to teach you, uh, not push you and make you do things. I'm going to show you the way, and I'm going to make it feel and look appealing. And also, I'm going to model it. I'm going to model the lifestyle that it takes, right? So, like, that's a part of my jump rope.
Right.
That's a part of, my fitness journey in general, is I'm modeling for them how to go from a beginner that's not good at all to, okay, now I've been in it for a month and a half. I can tangibly see, I can, with video evidence, receipts, see the results of that month and a half of consistency. Okay, so what happens when I put two together? What happens when I put four together? What happens when I put a year together? And I think that my experience has lent itself to being able to communicate those things to kids in a way where they get it, and then they get excited about it, because that's the whole thing, is like, you got to be excited. You should be excited about it on a Tuesday and then a Wednesday and a Thursday. And I am, like, when I was really heavy with the jump rope, I was excited every, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was excited.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I jumped for an hour yesterday, I'm excited to throw down an hour today.
Right.
So I wanted them to feel that about whatever the activity it is. And ultimately, if it ends up not being sports, and let's say, I don't know, they go into finance or something, I want the Tuesday and the Monday and the Tuesday and the Wednesday, I want those to be excited days for them to go, like, tackle their day and accomplish something. So jump rope was a tool that I use. Sports is a tool that I use. And I think there's so many lessons that you can learn in sports, whether it's resiliency, whether it's overcoming yourself, whether it's overcoming fears, whether it's, taking a big L. The other day,
Right.
my youngest's baseball team, we tore through the first two rounds of a tournament, and then just got an old fashioned butt whipping in the championship. And the kids played their hearts out. It was almost 10 o'clock at night when that game started. It was absurd how
Oh
they had
wow.
this tournament go. The boys were exhausted. It was 8 hours on the baseball field. um, but you can have those games where you blow people out, and everyone leaves feeling great about themselves and nobody learns much of anything. And then you can have those games where it's like, oh man, this is what happens if we are not on. This is what happens if we aren't focused from the beginning of a game to the end of the game. This is what happens if the week of practice was real sluggish and lax and we weren't paying attention to detail. We can end up getting, ran out the in basketball, ran out the gym,
R- Real quick.
and yeah, real quick. And so uh, I just, all of those things, even in the moments where you're frustrated, it's like, man, this is good, good. Jocko Willink always says, like, something bad happened, good. I get to steer into this, and I get to figure it out, and I get to improve now. So let's go. So that's pretty much with the
Do you
kids.
listen to a lot of podcasts? Like
Oh yeah,
when
yeah,
you work out
yeah,
or just in general?
yeah. No, podcasts. The podcast is like the medium that you can consume while you're doing other things. So it's perfect for me. It's like I have a little bit of an ADHD brain anyways, so my mind is like, I kind of need multiple things, like, and it's occupying this sector of my brain, and now I'm jumping rope and that's occupying something else, and I'm in flow but I'm learning at the same time. It's like, it's nice being able to multitask.
I
So
can
yeah,
relate to that. But I can also tell like um just by like you scripted a lot of sayings from podcast episode like the Joe Rogan one, because I believe I watched that one,
yeah.
that episode, or watched clips of that episode. So I could tell like you heavily into listening while doing other things at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like to learn, man. Like, that's one of the things. And the other day, like just yesterday, actually, I was listening to Tom Brady on a podcast, and I made a comment to one of my coaching buddies about it, because when we were growing up, you had to go to the local library and rent a book, and
Right.
I did. I rented Michael Jordan's book, like, when I was a kid, and I was all enamored with it, reading it, or Derek Jeter's book, and Cal Ripken's book. But that takes a lot more time than going directly to the source and listening to them in long form really tell their story.
Right.
And man, there's so many insights that you can gather from listening to somebody who's done it at the absolute highest level. The Tom Brady podcast, for example, man, And I highly recommend you listen to it because he's not just talking about the glory days. He's talking about when he was getting cut from his junior varsity team, when he was the fifth string quarterback as a junior in high school or whatever it was. You know, he's telling these stories of the difficulty that he faced when he was at Michigan. He works his way through 3 years. Now there's a new kid, Drew Henson, coming in, and now this coach is doing this wacky thing where he has one play in the first quarter and the next play in the second quarter. And anybody who knows anything about sports, you can't get into a rhythm if
Right.
you're coming in and out of the game like that, like as a quarterback, especially. It's like, so he tells these stories and he's like, man, he's like, in each and every one of those were the exact bits of adversity that I needed so that I could find my next level, so yeah, podcasts, man, they listening to the inner workings of some of the greatest to do it in whatever the field is, I think is such a valuable modern tool that we didn't have when we were growing up. So yeah, big into
Yeah.
podcasts. And the
So
sayings, I come from a country, like, sorry to
go
cut you
now. Go
off,
ahead.
but I come from a small country town on the East Coast. My grandfather owns a bar right on a little river in Maryland. It's like a little fisherman village. It's a rad spot. I grew up there in large part. My grandpa is like one of the most gregarious people ever. He can just talk for days, and he's just somebody who had a saying for every instance. So I've from then I said I told him this one day. I was sitting up at the bar and I said, one day I want to be an old man full of sayings like you. So I'm trying to collect them as we go.
That's what's up. Cause
Yeah.
you'll hear some amazing stories from people in the bar, especially like the
Oh
older
yeah,
gentlemen.
for sure.
So, being an older cat as myself, like I always try to test like how much my body can do or the limit that I can do. Are you the same way? Like, is there things that you want to try or haven't tried yet as far as like fitness wise?
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to get back to being able to dunk cleanly. It's like just a random thing. My kids are like, Dad, I haven't seen you be able to dunk. And I'm like, Brian, I'm like, I promise you. I was like, I'm almost 40. Do you see how high I'm jumping right now? I was like, I promise you, if you saw me 15 years ago, I was dunking. Um, so I feel like this push where I got to show them at least once. They got to see it. They got to see it once before it's a wrap for these knees.
I think right now with me, I'm starting to incorporate more like CrossFit style gymnastics. So right now, the hardest thing is working with the gymnastic rings because they so unstable, and I really have to try to engage with the right muscles just to even do like a false grip pull up, which that kind of grip is kind of odd to me. But
Is it
just
like,
try to it's like I wish I had the ring. So like if you was grabbing the ring, right? If you grabbing it like this, but
mm-hmm.
with the false grip, the rings like come cross here and be like
Oh,
sitting on your bone. So it's kind of like you holding it like this,
oh, okay.
and so you have to pull yourself up, which is difficult trying to get like with this grip all the way to your stomach or to the
Uh,
bottom of your chest. So right
is it
now,
like it's like a muscle up?
yeah, to get into a muscle up. So I got it with a false grip and I like do a pull up and then I got to transition into a ring up or ring row to go like. So
Okay.
getting it from here in transition is like the hardest thing right now. But doing them separately, I don't have too much a problem doing a pull up or a ring row separately. But getting it from here to transition. So
Mm. That takes a lot of strength.
yes, and also like I'm trying to make sure that I'm activating the right muscles. Like I know I'm not. Like I'm doing using all bicep and triceps, right? But
Okay.
I know I'm not activating my lats.
Okay.
So that's something that I'm
How long have
currently
you been
do.
at it?
Oh, probably like a month or so, maybe. I'm beginner at it all with the CrossFit style of gymnastic, like
Nice.
doing bar muscle ups, doing bar pull ups, trying to learn how to handstand and handstand walk, like those type of fitness. So once I get those down, then I can start incorporating some of those exercise into like a workout, like with a
Mm,
jump rope or with the slam ball. Um,
yeah. Have you seen you know Swiss Skips, Diane Cole?
yes,
Yeah, he does all those things. It's amazing to me.
yeah, well, yeah, he's heavily into like the calisthenic,
Calisthenics.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even Chris Slay out in Thailand,
Mm.
you know who that is?
I'm pretty sure I follow him. I think I know who
Well,
you're talking about.
yeah, so me and him go back and forth a little bit here and there, and he be motivating me because he does like the strict muscle up transition like real smooth. But I'm like, man, I'm trying to get there. I'm slowly
How is it
getting
on
there.
your shoulders? I don't feel like I have the shoulder. Like I feel like my shoulders wouldn't like
Um,
it.
I mean, like when I was first doing it, yeah, I felt it in my shoulders because like I wasn't activating, like I said, I wasn't activating the
The
right
lats.
muscles. I wasn't getting the lats involved. So if I get the lats involved, I don't feel it in the shoulders as much like I did in the beginning. Cause I was
Mm.
just strictly trying to use all arms just to get the rest of my body up without. So it's one of those things like it's a slow process, and I'm learning to try to activate, like I say, the right muscles. Um,
That's
and then
awesome though.
also like the box jump. Like I recently, and I didn't know I can jump up to like 54 inches on a box jump. So
Okay.
that was something new to me. Like the last time I did 52, and I barely got that one. So when I did 54, it was like I didn't struggle as hard.
Really?
So just things like that, just to see what my body can do. That's where I'm at with me in fitness.
Have you been doing specific
It's all
vertical?
good. To answer your questions, like doing squats helps, right?
Yeah.
Um, doing lunges help, and then like doing like lateral jumps, left and right, and then just like doing box jumps, but trying to land with a straight leg instead of like being bent or crouched when you land. So
Hmm.
things like that I do, and only other thing I could think of is like doing power slams with the slam ball.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. Core work,
Yep, core rope.
plyos, box jumps like you were talking about earlier. A really good one. I don't know if you've done this one yet, but like when you jump up to the top of the box
Uh
and
huh.
then do a descent. So it's kind of like you drop down off of the box and then explode right back up.
No,
Those
but
are
I
pretty
might
good.
need to try that.
Yeah, those are good for building up that like because a lot of people like they'll get in and they'll do a lot of the slow um, sort of like deep squat, and nobody goes into a deep squat when they're jumping.
No, you
Do you
kind
know
of
what I'm
like do
saying?
like a. You don't even do like a half squat. It's like
Yeah,
almost like
right. So
yeah.
I want to be as explosive, like if I were training for vertical, which, all of this, so we were talking about the dad and the coaching stuff earlier. I'm about to finish my CSCS, or the strength and conditioning certification, um, so that I can start training
Nice.
people. And um, specifically, like all my research is about um, explosion, explosiveness. How do you build explosiveness? Vertical jump, speed, explosive core power, rotational power to hit a baseball farther. All that kind of stuff is kind of like the stuff that I'm nerding out on right now. But yeah, the D cells are good. It's just you don't drop all the way down to 90 degrees or anything. You just barely drop and explode right back up.
I'm gonna have to try that. Get a couple of box jumps and box plyo boxes and like you slow. Do you just hop off quick or do you just hop off slow
You
and
kind of
then
step. The way I would do it. it's just you step off
Mm-hmm.
and then, you're prepared. Your arms are ready right when you hit to,
Pop
go
back
down,
up.
fire back up. Yeah. And try to get back up to the top of the box. And then take a little half-second break, drop back down, do it again. The stronger you get at it, then you can go from two legs to one leg, and start working, different balance stuff. Obviously, one leg is a lot harder balance wise. Um, but yeah, all that kind of stuff is good. There's a guy that I follow. Um, I think his name is like BJ Beck or something like that. I could send you his page, but his entire page is about this stuff: explosiveness, building lateral quickness, vertical leap, you know, ability, all of it. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, send that to me because I definitely try it out next time I go to the gym. Maybe tomorrow or the next day, one of the two. I'm not
Yeah,
sure yet. But yeah, that's like some of the things I do as far as plyo goes.
right on.
Oh, and one thing I'm really heavily into, and I haven't done it in about like a week or so, is rope climbs.
Oh yeah,
Like for some reason, I don't know. Like somebody here introduced me into rope climbs because I saw them doing. I was like, man, that's cool. I want to try that. And just to
nice.
get, yeah, like getting the J hook where you wrap the rope around your feet to help you climb up. That
Hmm.
takes a bit, but that's easy to learn. But then doing it legless, so you
Oh
basically just
yeah,
pulling your
just
whole body up with your upper. Yeah. So that's something I really enjoy doing. Um,
that takes me back to like presidential tests in elementary school, where they used to make us climb the rope, and I was terrified of heights, man. Like so, I'm sitting there looking at my PE teacher, like, you want me to climb all the way up where? Like, I don't
yeah,
know
now
about
probably
this.
back then I probably wouldn't do it because I'm scared of heights. But
And I couldn't even
climbing,
do a pull up. So
I'm still working on that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So climbing all the way up there, you know, thinking I remember one time I got like halfway up and then I slid down and had these massive rope burns all over my hands, and I was like, I'm good on this.
Yeah, I
But
done that too. And so everything I touch or washing my hands, man, my hands is on
it burns,
fire.
right? Yeah, no, that's tough. They have a rope in Venice Beach. I remember I went out there one time and I climbed up that thing, and it was cool. No, I would do that for sure if I knew of one locally. That seems like it'd be a really good back day workout, back and arms.
Yeah, definitely back, legs, tricep. Yeah, man, I got so intrigued with it, man. I went on Amazon and bought like a portable one.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So it
Oh,
don't
that's
have
cool.
like a hook attachment. It just have like it just looped and banded together. So if I throw one piece around, I can stick the other end through the loop and then it kind of like tug together. So yeah, I done
Nice,
done that. But other than that, that's basically what I do. Jump rope, lift weights, try to do gymnastic stuff.
nice. Yeah, it all kind of it's a I think a lot of people in fitness, maybe they hammer one modality and that's the only thing that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a time and place, especially like if that's going to be your thing, you're trying to be the best at that thing. Um, but for me, I mean, I like the idea of having a balanced approach and trying to hit different areas. Like I want to hit flexibility. I want to hit, which is I'm not great at, by the way.
Same.
Um, I want to hit, explosiveness. Keep as much of that as I can, as for as long as I can. Knowing that we're none of us are getting younger.
Right.
Um, but and then some semblance of endurance. So I would like to hit at least those three things. Um, to some extent. And I've talked to Jimmy about this a lot too, about how with my kids, jump rope specifically, I think has been really good for their balance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think, and just for anybody, I mean, footwork, balance, those are things that I could name you so many instances in pretty much any sport you can think of, whether it's soccer or tennis or basketball or football or baseball. Balance, footwork, they apply it in every single one of those. Boxing, of course, so jump rope is to me a tool that should be in any athlete's. box, no matter, what the sport is that you play. Jump rope fits, um, a niche in any athlete's
in anybody training.
arsenal. Yeah.
Well, so, um, anything you want to say to the community? Because I feel like me and you at our age, I think our niche is just showing like people our age are still able to do things like, you know what I'm saying? We ain't hitting the age you be like, oh, I'm this age. I can't do this no more. I can't do that no more. Like, we still out here being active. So, do you have like a message for those that feel like, you know what I'm saying, hey, I'm at this age. I don't think, I can do this or whatever.
Yeah, man. It's funny. I was talking about my buddy's gym earlier today. This is a guy who was an old basketball teammate of mine, big
Mm-hmm.
6'9" guy. One of my best friends. Is funny. We walked into um, my coach's office the first day when we were deciding to go to this school. And the first thing he asked me is like, "Is this guy your agent or is he your bodyguard?" And he's like, "Or is this guy your bodyguard?" The big guy. Um, so the gym is called Bigger Picture Fitness. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what the shirt I'm wearing, actually, ironically. But to me, the bigger picture is always, you know, we only have this one life, right? And this body that we have, this is the vessel that's going to carry us through. Like, this is the thing that's housing our soul and our mind and the things we care about. And we have to take care of it. And I haven't always been the best at that. I think the last couple of years I've done a much better job. But I guess my message would be that, take care of yourself is important. It's not just important to you as an individual, it's also going to long term be important to the people who love you and care about you. So does that mean that you have to jump into a gym and go aggro every single day? No, of course not. Start where you are, and build from there. And it's not, nobody has a straight line in their fitness journey. There's setbacks. There's days where, you let your hair down or whatever, let loose, eat some things that you might not have otherwise, usually condoned. Whatever it is, you're living your life, but do a little bit every day. Find the things that you're most into that inspire you to move, and just get out there and do it. That's why one of the things. So I talked about jump rope dudes earlier. Their motto, the do the thing.
Right.
That's something that really stood out to me 3 years ago. Was whatever it is, dude, just do it. Get out there and do it, and you will 100%. There will be benefits that you can expect. You'll potentially lose weight. You'll be able to move better. You'll feel better. You'll have more mental clarity. And then there will be other things that you didn't expect. Like in this instance, I didn't expect to meet the people that I've met. I didn't expect to have the kind of quality conversations that I've gotten to have with people in the jump rope community. People who genuinely, and especially 3 years ago, man, it really felt like everyone was rooting for everyone.
Right.
It felt like nobody was trying to big time anybody else, or nobody. It wasn't about blowing up on social media necessarily. It wasn't about um, being a celebrity, or being cooler than somebody else. It was genuinely, all of us were locked in our homes, and we found this thing that was allowing us a bit of peace. We found this thing that was allowing us uh, work to work on our fitness, and develop a skill that for a lot of us probably seemed, uh, you know, impossible. I know when I started seeing people doing mic releases, I was like, "What the heck is that?" Now there's 100,000 posts being made every single day of people doing mic releases. So there's been
Right.
some evolution, and there's been and some people have taken off like crazy, and now they're big time influencers with brand deals, and
Yeah.
uh, going on television shows and stuff. And these are all the people that we were sitting there with when they were at 400 followers
Yeah.
just learning how to do boxer skip, and so being there, watching it all evolve, watching it all grow, it's been a lots of lessons. Um, and I think just the main one is find that thing that you find a passion in that gets you moving and just do it. Do the thing. So I think that's probably my message.
Appreciate you. All
You
right,
too, buddy.
folks. There you have it. We got Brian here, delivering us positivity, the importance of being a father and the influence in your kids' life, and not just your kids, but everybody kids' lives. Man, brother, you dropped some powerful message on us today, and I appreciate you doing this for us.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate, like I said, you giving a voice and allowing people to tell their story a little bit more beyond just their 15-second reels. So I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. So, people, if you enjoyed this interview, drop Brian some love in the comments below. Follow him. Check out his comments. I mean, check out his contents. Watch for the message that he's displaying to you. Learn from him. And as far as the podcast channel going, man, we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep dropping interviews from some of your favorite athletes, and just stay tuned. So until then, peace, everybody. Hey, stay on right quick, Brian.
Cool.